Hey guys, this is Mark. Actually, I should say hey ladies, because this is a video for the NT wives. I think the title of this video will be all the things you did right and the one thing you did wrong. But the things you did right, well, were replete. You did many things right. And here's just a few. This is just a tiny smidgen of all the things you've done right. This video is not meant to criticize you, by the way. In fact, if anything, it's meant to compliment you and encourage you. Several things you did right. You tried to get him to reconnect. Let's say, for example, in the beginning, he was masking. I mean, not all people with ASD level 1 mask, but let's say, for sake of example, you found this guy and you had emotional reciprocity and things were going well. And so he masked and tried to present well. And one of his masking techniques was to be very connected. And so once he stopped masking, he also stopped connecting. And so you tried to get him to reconnect. Your intentions were good. There was no malicious intent there on your part, trying to get him to, well, we were getting along so well. And something happened, and now he's involved in his special interest over here, and I don't feel important anymore. And so you tried really hard to get him back in the game. Yeah, that was a good thing. That's something you did right. Your heart was in the right place. You were doing the best that you knew how to do given the circumstances. You tried multiple things. You did your research online. If you're watching this video, obviously you're online researching ASD level 1. Or you've been on this road for a long time and you're just kind of trying to continue to figure it out. You love this guy. We're using the NT wife and the ASD husband as the example. You love this guy. You respect him. You care about him. You may have even gotten angry with him, but even that was something that you were doing right, in my opinion. You weren't getting angry because you were trying to push him away. You're getting angry to try and pull him in. So I could go on for easily another 15 or 20 minutes pointing out all the things that you did right. The summary is this. You love the guy. You care about the guy. He's super important to you. The marriage is important to you. You've tried really hard to reestablish trust, reestablish a bond, reestablish hope, reestablish safety in the marriage. God bless you. You gave it your best shot. The one thing you did wrong, you assumed that he didn't care. You assumed that, well, all of this disconnectedness and this lack of emotional reciprocity is because he's selfish, insensitive, uncaring, narcissistic. No. This disconnectedness, this lack of emotional reciprocity, this seemingly lack of empathy is a trait of the disorder. ASD level 1 is a disorder such that the social and emotional brain is underdeveloped. So he doesn't match you with social and emotional intelligence. You're way up here. You're very socially and emotionally smart. He is not. You're very socially and emotionally skilled. He's way down here. You have a lot of social and emotional needs. He does not. And you assumed he's way down here because he doesn't care. No. He cares, but he doesn't know how to show that he cares.
First of all, I don't want you to frame it as I'll never be normal. Because you are normal for somebody who's on the autism spectrum. And there's no shame in having autism. Only about millions and millions of other people had it and have it. And there's way more strengths than challenges that come with this. You will have some strengths that a neurotypical male your age will not have. We wouldn't be on the programmable computer right now if it wasn't for somebody with Asperger's syndrome. So it's not that you're not normal, it's that you're not typical. Currently, the neurotypicals outnumber the autistics, but autism is on the rise, ASD level 1. So it's conceivable that at some point people with ASD level 1 will outnumber the neurotypicals. So now the neurotypicals are not typical. So be careful with this. I know this is a tangential point. Be careful with this business of viewing yourself as not normal. No, you're just fine. And the reason that the NT wives have such difficulty accepting is because she's way up here with social and emotional intelligence. She's way up here with social and emotional skills. She's way up here with social and emotional needs. You're way up here with logic and general IQ. So she is up here high in SQ, which is social intelligence, EQ, which is emotional intelligence. You're way up here with logical intelligence and general IQ. But when you compare yourself to her, if you can see my hands here, if you compare yourself to her in the social and emotional intelligence department, you're way down here. I'm not saying you don't have emotions or don't have any social skills, but compared to her, you're way down here. ASD is a disorder where the social and emotional brain is underdeveloped. That's why they call it a developmental disorder. Doesn't mean you're dumb. You're probably smarter than me. Doesn't mean you don't have strengths. You got a ton of strengths. She's highly intuitive and she needs connection. You're not very intuitive at all. And you could go all year without talking about feelings. You could go all year without having some warm, fuzzy emotional connection with her. They don't understand, given their high level of social and emotional intelligence and intuition, this is their version of mind blindness. They can't wrap their brain around the idea that you're way down here. And they expect that you should be able to come up here and meet me at this level of emotional reciprocity. You should be able to do that. You could do better if you just put your mind to it. She's uneducated. Or she has educated herself on the traits of the disorder, but is still in denial. Okay, cognitively, I understand mind blindness, emotions blindness, executive function deficits, anxiety, sensory sensitivities, weak central coherence, problems with prediction, but I still think he could do better. Called denial, ladies. Denial.
Autism spectrum disorder. They didn't go to all the trouble of putting that in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, version 5, if it was just a condition or a different way of thinking. Okay? It's not the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Conditions.
Hey guys, this is Mark, and I got a quick message to neurotypical spouses. A potential source of sensory overload for a person with ASD level 1 is voice, especially tone of voice. So your autistic spouse may analyze voice tone first and then decode the words used by you later. So any voice inflection by you that remotely conveys a negative attitude, for example, sarcasm, irritation, criticism, and so on, may be detected by your spouse and then taken personally. If your autistic spouse downloads your tone as being negative, it's going to cause a problem, particularly if he's not sure why you are using a particular inflection. He might be thinking, is she upset with me? Did I do something wrong? Why does she sound mad? And so on. And now you get this loop effect that can occur in his thinking process. In other words, he mulls over the comment that you made long after the conversation has ended, and then anxiety, agitation, and fear increase as he attempts to analyze the motive behind what you said. People with ASD are logical thinkers and sometimes overly logical, which means they're overthinking, which means they're overanalyzing. So if you get pushback from your spouse, and it's a mystery to you as why, it's possible that he perceived or downloaded your delivery as critical.
Hey guys, this is Mark, and today I want to talk about a conditioned reaction. What is a conditioned reaction? Well, another way of putting it is you are associating one thing with another. For example, you're associating a particular person with anxiety, or you're associating a particular activity with anger, or you're associating a particular subject matter that needs to be discussed with fear. So here's some examples that will help you make sense of this, and I'll put it in the form of a question. Is it possible that you have associated your spouse, and we're talking about the neurodiverse marriage here, where one person has autism and the other one is a neurotypical, have you associated your spouse with anxiety? In other words, we'll use the ASD husband and the NT wife as the example. She doesn't have to say or do anything She just has to show up in the same room that you are, and you automatically feel some tension. So now you've associated her presence with anxiety. You've been programmed at an unconscious level now because of past events to associate those two. That's called a conditioned reaction. So that was an example of associating a particular person with anxiety. Let's look at an example of associating a particular location or place with anger. Let's say in times past, whenever the entire family tried to eat dinner together at the same dinner table, we'll use the example of the ASD husband. Maybe he has sensory sensitivities. Maybe the children are noisy or are talking too loudly and so on. And so the autistic husband, through sensory overload, now chastises the children. Then the NT mom thinks that that was unfair and she chastises the autistic husband. And so the whole dinner experience becomes an anger control mess. And so now, based on previous experiences from there being so much anger at the dinner table, just sitting down at the dinner table, before you even put one morsel of food in your mouth or one person has said anything, you're automatically angry. And this happens at an unconscious level. That's another example of a conditioned reaction. So you get the point, right? And you can pair up a person with an emotion, or a particular place or location with an emotion, or a particular activity with an uncomfortable emotion. So the question is, are you associating a particular place, person, activity, or subject matter with anxiety or anger or fear or sadness even? And if so, when you experience any of these things that would otherwise be neutral because of a conditioned reaction, are you setting up a self-fulfilling prophecy to where the thing turned out exactly how you thought it would, but in a way that, of course, you did not want it to turn out that way? So if you feel like you just have to vent sometimes in order to get some frustration out, that's fine. I would have to say there is a time and place for that, but just know that if you're going to vent, you're not going to be able to problem solve at the same time. Those two are mutually exclusive. So you want to vent, but you've thrown away the opportunity to problem solve. And it's a little bit worse than that. You've also greatly decreased the likelihood of ever solving that problem in question, especially with chronic venting. So you pick which one you're going to do. It's going to be one or the other. It's never going to be both. And for those of you that think, well, if I just complain loud enough and long enough, I'll get my spouse to change their behavior. No. Hey guys, this is Mark. Click on the join button underneath any of my videos, then click on members only videos, and then click on join. And for $9.99 a month, you'll have access to members only videos, which are excerpts from previous workshops I've conducted for NT partners, ASD partners, and the neurodiverse couple. New videos will be uploaded weekly.